we do have a lot of technology. We have fancy conveyor belts, we have handheld scanners, we have forklifts, we have laptops that sometimes work and sometimes not the way they're supposed to. We have a lot of technology, but I think what I'm actually supposed to talk about is a little bit about software. And to say it in the words of famous entrepreneur, billionaire, and egghead Mark Andreessen, software is eating the world, and I think that's definitely true for our tech team. And I think the software is that thing, or actually, it's one of the things that sets us apart. Because I don't think it's just the software, it's also the people that we have, it's the operations that we have in the warehouse. I think, as Han and Kun will be able to attest, it's not just a simple work of moving some boxes around, it's a lot of work, it's hard work, and it's constantly problem solving. I assume something goes wrong all the time. You have to be on your toes, you have to be creative, and that is, I think, one of the strongest points of this company, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about is the other part that sets us apart, and that is the ability of us to automate all the things. However, I'm specifically not talking about these things. As I just said, I don't think we can automate away the human factor, the operations in the warehouse, even though these things are really fun to play with. I don't think these can do what we need to do in the warehouse. But what we can automate away is all the, let's call it, stupid, repetitive work, data entry, all these kinds of things. Automatically being alerted of incoming shipments, automatically sorting the parcels based on some heuristics, some algorithms, automatically being notified of problems and exceptions. All these kinds of automations, and of course, most importantly, automatically billing our clients so that we can keep running. These are the kind of things that we want to automate with software. How are we doing this? With a program that is running in the cloud, built on a platform called Ruby on Rails. That's an important technology choice that we made very early on, because that is the thing that allows us to scale very far, but also be extremely flexible and operate with impunity. There's a lot of underlying technologies that I don't think I need to go into in detail. If you want to know more about this, if you want to learn about this, I think everybody in the tech team will be really happy to talk about these things a lot.
Excruciating detail.
In it. But they all serve to enable this automation. This automation then happens through the integration with external parties. That can be, for example, our conveyor, that can be our handheld, that can be the customs integrations, there can be integration with the couriers, with accounting, and of course the client API that we host ourselves so that our clients can integrate with us. As I already mentioned, all of this is running in the cloud, still with impunity. Yeah, so the infrastructure of what we are running has been growing significantly in the last 3.5 years, I think, that I've been with ViaEurope. When I started, we were 6 people. We were hosting the application. It would cost, I think it was $1,000 a month to run the application. We're now paying $300,000 a year just to run this, because of all these things that we had to build in that time. Things like making sure that, we talked about disaster recovery in our management meeting the other day. What happens if someone just happens to delete the database by accident? How do we recover from these things? We're spending a lot of time on that at the moment as we are scaling up the team. Data safety, security, recovery mechanisms, but also scaling the vast amount of data that we are getting. I'll have a chart later about the database growth. I think BJ already mentioned it, 2 terabytes of data. I don't know if you all have ever traded movies downloaded from the internet on CDs or on hard drives, and our database is now at this point where it's like 1,000 Netflix movies worth of data. It's incredible. It's the biggest amount of data that I personally have ever worked with. And that is also a little bit scary because what happens if something happens to it? Hopefully we will have a complete disaster recovery plan soon. This is what the code looks like. This is what we are doing. Originally, when the plan was presented for me to make this talk, the title was A Day in the Life. But I don't think that is going to be super interesting for us because it looks a lot like this. And this is what we're doing. We're writing this code, and there is a lot of it. This little command line tool, it counts how much code we have written. So currently, at the moment of these lines that you saw earlier, there's not quite 700,000 lines of code that our application runs in a single application that is serving all these external integrations. That's not all the code that has ever been written for this application. That's just what is there right now. And that is, I think, an important factor for how we as a team see ourselves. What we try to do is to react with the constant change that the industry presents us. Choosing Ruby on Rails as the platform allows us to continuously make the platform better and react to requests. I think yesterday we had in a situation where we only showed the most recent RFID tag, but it was the second or third one that had the required information. So we came, can we change this? Can we show all of them? Yes, we can. It took us half an hour, then it was done. That is, I think, the other very important factor that sets us apart from the competition in terms of software, that we can react to this constant change. We deploy changes 5 to 10 times a day in average. And this is what I mean when I say we deploy a change. This is, like you can see on the left side, the red stuff, that's what has been deleted. The green stuff is that stuff that has been added. Sometimes it's that small, sometimes it's a little bit bigger, but when I say we deploy a change, this is essentially what we're doing. We're saving this snapshot of a change. We do some automated tests, see if everything's okay, and then immediately it goes live into production. I think you're all in the all change log channel. There we will publish what we have changed. All this change, these reactions, that is the enabler for the growth. This is the chart about the database. This is the size of the database since October 2020. It has then tripled in size to almost 2 terabytes in size. As I said, it's really impressive. And I do expect that the growth will continue this way. So yeah, that is really what the tech team is doing. I'm not entirely sure what else I can tell you because it really looks a lot like this all day long. A day in the life of a developer is looking at the screen and really trying to figure out what is going on, only 5 hours later to find out that yes, it doesn't work because you missed a semicolon in that line. But I think that's not all of it. The other big thing about being a developer at ViaEurope is that our work is for the most part also a conversation. I've worked in a lot of companies where the IT team was seen as a cost center, a separate entity within a company, and I feel like this is definitely not the case within ViaEurope. I'm very happy how the entire company, how we all can sit here together. I've seen conversations starting between the teams during the break, and this kind of integration is what really is important for me as the CTO, but also I think for the success of the company. Working at ViaEurope as a developer means communicating. That is very important. For example, this is our ticket board. This is how the work is currently organized that we are doing. It's a screenshot. On the left side is the stuff that we have planned. On the right side is the stuff that we have done. And then we're just moving things from left to right in this Kanban board. But each of these tickets, each of these cards represents not just a very not a detailed description of what do you need to do really, given that I am a user and I want to log in, I need to click the button, so I'm logged in. We're not doing that. Very often the ticket itself is relatively high level, and it becomes an invitation for us to talk with the product owner or the stakeholder who requests this change about what is the thing that we can build to make it the best thing that it can be. What that means is that for each of our developers, that we also kind of need to become subject experts in the field that we are working in. We're not just being given a specification, we are asked to also understand what it is that we're building, what are the implications. Another aspect how communication is very important for us is the ongoing tech support that we are doing. You all have seen the tech support channel, you have asked questions, some of you have answered these questions. We're trying to turn this into a little bit more of a structured setup by establishing a dedicated tech support team so that we can serve you better when problems arise. But again, what makes me really proud of this tech team is that everybody is in there, everybody's participating, and everybody's always willing to help make it the best it can be. Well, sometimes also we have errors that we need to take care of. That specific one was caught by me. And again, this is also then part of, I feel like, of communication. Do we have a problem? How do we react to it? And how can we make this go away quickly? Someone asked earlier, what is the biggest thing that is holding us back at the moment? And someone said it is the resources that the tech team has. That is true. Even though we've kind of tripled the size of the team, the stuff that the company is doing, the kind of projects that we have, and the complexity of this project has been growing so much. BJ mentioned that it is impossible for him to now have the entire capabilities of the platform in his head. And that is, I think, also true for us as developers. And that is why we definitely need to become more people and turn this and set up a more structured approach with dedicated teams that take care of dedicated aspects of the application. As every good chart, this is already out of date. Some people are missing. I took a screenshot of this this morning, but it's already out of date. But what that means is, yes, we are hiring. We're looking for more developers. If you know anyone who you think is a good fit, please tell your friends. We do have a referral bonus, I heard. Yeah, we need to be more people so that we can help you make ViaEurope the best. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I see for the tech team. We are in this team to help you run the operations, to make the company the best it can be, and I think we're all happy to help. That's really all I have. So if you have any questions. Yes?
What's the coolest you want to build, right? What's the dream?
Good question. I think the AI topic that BJ mentioned is very interesting because it's still a very also a new technology, and there's a lot that we can do in terms of automation. I think personally what excites me is the challenges that we're having with the scaling of the application, the amount of data that we need to deal with, the amount of clients that we want to bring on, and the amount of parcels that they want to create that's going to put a load on the system. How do we manage that? Solving these kinds of problems, that's personally for me the most exciting aspect. Anyone else? Then, yeah, thank you very much.